Today on Rappler, a Facebook post sparks nationwide protest as tens of thousands of Filipinos rally against the pork barrel. Budget Secretary Abad says the overhauled pork will no longer be lump sum appropriations and will have minimal lawmaker discretion. And Syria allows the United Nations team to investigate an alleged chemical weapons attack. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Public outrage against the pork barrel scam first erupts on social media, getting critical mass and snowballing into a full-blown street protest. Katerina reports.
Makibaka! Wag magbaboy!
This is what a Facebook post can do. Luneta turns into a sea of white, with 70,000 Filipinos protesting corruption. Protesters slammed the alleged misuse of the pork barrel 3 days after President Benigno Aquino proposes to abolish it in its current form. No single leader directs the crowdsourced rally. Peachy Britannia, one of the 3 persons who started the Million People March, says it is a modern display of leadership.
Yung sinasabi nilang leaderless, hindi po ito leaderless, leaderful.
The traditional leaders follow the crowd.
Tayong lahat ay inipon ng Diyos.
Manila Archbishop Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle adds weight to the people's protests. On August 26, National Heroes Day, the Cardinal prays for heroism.
Pag sinabi nating bayanihan, sabay-sabay maging bayani. Inaanyayahan ko po ang lahat na atin pong tingnan, dinggin at mahalin ang mga dukha at naghihirap bilang mga tunay nating kapwa at kapatid. Atin din pong damahin ang tibok ng puso ng ating bayan. Patunayan po natin na marangal ang Pilipino.
The rally becomes the biggest under the Aquino administration.
Unlike other big rallies, the Million People March doesn't dwell on specific personalities. It's driven by anger toward the systemic problem, the pork barrel system. It's a sign of maturity in a country stuck in personality politics.
Comedian May Paner, who on a change in social media, says the protest shows a change in consciousness.
Itong event na to, I think ay patunay ng pagbabago ng consciousness na yan. At tingnan natin kung saan ito makakarating. Pwede naman pagkatapos ngayon, wala na. Balik-balik na tayo sa dati nating mga buhay. And then parang walang nangyari.
The Luneta rally shows the internet's huge influence on protests in the Philippines, moving it away from organized, often militant groups to netizens.
I would really like to see, this as the start of many changes that will happen. Oh, yeah. It's time. And alam mo, nagulat nga ako na ngayon lang tayo nagalit after so many years no? But it took us so long to get angry, no? But never too late, yeah.
Hindi ito revolusyon, hindi ito itaob ang pamahalaan. Ito ay ang simpleng paghingi ng paliwanag kung ano ang nangyari at simpleng pagdemand ng solusyon sa problema na tinatawag na PDAF.
A preview of the power of social media to transform online anger into real collective action. Paterno S. Rappler, Manila.
Online, it's #MillionPeopleMarch. But organizers say the crowd reached a peak of 400,000, while police estimate the crowd to be only around 80,000. Despite falling below its target, the netizens say it's a success. Bea Cupin reports.
Ousted Chief Justice Renato Corona finds out this isn't his crowd. after the impeached official makes an unwanted visit. Corona was dismissed from office in May 2012 after the Senate Impeachment Court found him guilty of betraying public trust by failing to declare his wealth.
I think he's part of the problem. He hasn't owned up to his tax deficiencies, right?
The same issues hurled against Corona are the issues in this rally: lack of transparency and corruption. A state audit report shows at least 192 lawmakers misuse 6.1 billion of pork barrel. They also react to the president's abolition of the pork barrel Friday.
So he says, abolish PDAF. Then what? Line items. Then what do we do with that? You know, it's still our money. It's got to be more transparency. We got to see people brought down to justice.
The crowd in Luneta is diverse. The young, the old, the famous.
Nakikisama kami sa inyo. Pareho ng ginagawa ninyo. Magmulat.
And the average one.
Sobra yung ng paghihirap ng mamamayan habang pinakikinabangan ng ilan yung kaba ng bayan.
Protesters urge government to scrap the Priority Development Assistance Fund and the President's pork barrel.
Ang kinakalaban dito siguro talaga yung katiwalian, 'di ba? Yung pag-iisip, yung consciousness na okay lang kumuha ng pera ng iba, hindi ho okay 'yon.
They ask for a full accounting of pork barrel expenses and thieving public officials punished.
They may not have reached 1 million, but the message is clear. Scrap pork barrel and institute reforms in government. The mood here in Luneta is festive and hopeful, but protesters are quick to remind themselves this is only the beginning. Bea Cupin, Rappler, Manila.
Protesters in Luneta Park find unity in their diversity as they express their anger over corruption. Buena Bernal files this video blog.
There is chanting, dancing, and playing of instruments here at Luneta Park for what is considered the biggest anti-corruption mass action seeking to abolish the pork barrel system. The ground is extremely muddy and there are light rains from time to time, but the crowd is getting bigger since the start of the program. People congregate in groups, and artists perform for small crowds on the sidelines, while religious groups pray separately. Differences are highlighted between advocacy, political and religious groups given their varied means of protesting. But they are all in agreement with one thing: to abolish the discretionary funds of lawmakers and institute reforms for greater transparency. Buena Bernal, Rappler, Manila.
Other cities across the Philippines join Manila's #MillionPeople March to call for the abolition of pork. In Naga, over 100 people stage a rally at Plaza Rizal, while in Palawan, protesters gather at the Baywalk in Puerto Princesa. In Baguio, at least 400 protesters gather at the Rose Garden in what Ducci Maranan of the Baguio Writers Group calls, quote, a spontaneous demonstration of indignation. In Negros, more than 2,000 gather in front of the provincial Negros Capitol building. The Negros peace advocates say, we will not accept any attempt to simply rename the same pork barrel with another one to appease the angry citizens. In Tacloban City, about 100 people gather at the RTR Plaza as part of the nationwide march in the morning. In Cebu, at least 3,200 march to Plaza Independencia despite the gloomy weather. At least 700 students, teachers, professionals, church people, and activists gather in Davao City's Rizal Park Monday to join this nationwide protest calling for the abolition of pork. Protesters assemble at Ateneo de Davao University's Freedom Park before marching to Rizal Park. Ateneo de Davao University President Father Joel Tabora says the protest is a way for ordinary Filipinos to express their opinion against corruption. He adds, we Filipinos do not define ourselves by the likes of Janet Napoles. We do not define ourselves by corruption. We do not define ourselves by lies, manipulation, and fear. Tabora, a vocal critic on different issues, says citizens deserve to know the truth. President Benigno Aquino vows to punish the people behind the massive misuse of lawmakers' discretionary fund. Aquino makes this promise in his National Hero speech at the Libingan ng Mga Bayani.
Gagawin natin ang lahat ng ating makakaya upang tukuyin at panagutin ang mga nagkuntsabahan para dungisan ang dapat sana'y marangal na layunin ng dating PDAF. Hindi natin hahayaang maging kasangkapan ang sinuman upang magpatuloy ang kababuyan ng iilan.
On Friday, Aquino announced an overhaul in the pork barrel system. Lawmakers are now required to submit their plans for their respective pork barrel, and it will be earmarked in the budget law as line items. The Priority Development Assistance Fund more than doubled under the Aquino administration compared to what his predecessor Gloria Arroyo allocated. Before Arroyo stepped down, the PDAF allocated for 2010 was 10.86 billion pesos. When the Aquino administration passed its first budget for 2011, the allocation skyrocketed to 24.62 billion pesos. Back then, President Aquino justified the increase in pork barrels, saying, quote, "It can be an equalizer to the local government units." Aquino referred to the practice during Aquino's time where favored lawmakers were allowed to make additional budget insertions aside from getting their PDAF. A state audit report shows questionable non-governmental organizations abuse 751 million pesos of lawmakers' pork barrel that went through the Social Welfare Department. The Commission on Audit report on the 2007 to 2009 pork barrel releases shows 751 million pesos released to at least 20 NGOs, most of which had dubious backgrounds, questionable projects, and unverifiable beneficiaries. Only the Philippine Red Cross is a legitimate organization, although the report noted it failed to liquidate 21 million pesos of the 52 million pesos it received. 55 lawmakers funneled their pork to these 20 NGOs. Of these organizations, only 7 had multiple patrons. The rest had 1 lawmaker patron each. Caloocan Assistance Council Inc. gets the biggest chunk of misused funds, 133.6 million pesos, from the pork barrel of 10 House members and Senator Juan Ponce Enrile, who gave 10 million pesos. Then Senator Edgardo Angara poured 95.55 million pesos of his pork to only 2 NGOs, Reed Foundation and Kalusugan ng Bata, Karunungan ng Bayan Inc. or KBKBI. He is incorporator stockholder of KBKBI. Some NGOs provided fake addresses or had moved out before auditors visited them, while others listed ghost beneficiaries. Budget Secretary Florencio Abad says the overhauled allocations for lawmakers will just follow the names of projects they're funding under each implementing agency. Abad says there will no longer be lump sum appropriations over which lawmakers have too much discretion. Media reports and a state audit report revealed how the pork barrel had been misused by dubious NGOs in recent years. In the overhauled pork barrel system, Abad says lawmakers can still nominate programs that benefit their constituents, but these have to be specified in each agency's budget. Abad says it's not a good idea to totally scrap allocations for lawmakers because some projects with legitimate beneficiaries might get discontinued. Senator Bam Aquino proposes a People's Fund to replace the much-aligned pork barrel. The proposed fund will allow Filipinos to choose where their taxes go. The proposal comes after thousands marched to Luneta to demand the abolition of the pork barrel. In a statement Monday, Aquino says people are sick and tired of seeing their taxes go to waste. It's time for the PDAF to go and bring the power back to the people. The neophyte senator says the proposed People's Fund seeks to, quote, revolutionize public budgeting and funding by allowing taxpayers to allocate 5% of their income tax to accredited charities, legitimate political parties, or government projects. State Weather Bureau Pagasa says Nando, international name Kong Ray, intensifies into a tropical storm. It's spotted 270 kilometers east of Casiguran, Aurora. Storm signal number 1 is up over Batanes, Cagayan, Apayao, and Isabela. The storm is expected to enhance the southwest monsoon, bringing light to occasionally heavy rain and thunderstorms over southern Luzon. The rest of Luzon will have cloudy skies with light to moderate rain, while the Visayas and Mindanao will have partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain. Syria bows to international pressure and allows a United Nations investigation into an alleged chemical weapons attack. The UN team of inspectors are now authorized to carry out the investigation in the Damascus region, where the opposition claims regime forces unleashed chemical weapons, killing more than 1,300 people. Doctors Without Borders say 355 people died of neurotoxic symptoms. On Saturday, U.S. President Barack Obama discussed Syria with British Prime Minister David Cameron. Cameron's office says the two leaders are concerned by, quote, increasing signs that this was a significant chemical weapons attack carried out by the Syrian regime against its own people. French President François Hollande says there's a, quote, body of evidence indicating the Syrian regime is responsible for the August 21 attack. But in an interview Monday, al-Assad says the claims are, quote, an insult to common sense, adding the regime would have risked killing its own forces if it used chemical weapons. He adds such accusations are completely political. Al-Qaeda-linked Syrian jihadist group Al-Nusra Front promises revenge strikes against villages from President Bashar al-Assad's community after claims his forces used chemical weapons. Syria's main opposition body, the National Coalition, accuses Assad's forces of killing more than 1,300 people using chemical weapons. Al-Nusra Front Chief Abu Muhammad al-Jalani calls on opposition fighters across the country to take revenge, adding, quote, 1,000 rockets will be used for this purpose. Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 7, anti-Muslim rioters burned shops and homes in Myanmar as the former army-ruled nation grapples with religious violence. Rioters burned some 38 houses and 9 businesses during the unrest Saturday after a Muslim man was arrested for allegedly attempting to rape a Buddhist woman. The series of incidents of religious unrest shows deep rifts in Buddhist-majority Myanmar. At number 9, U.S. fashion wear company American Apparel announces an open call for transgendered or transsexual models. The search is liberal in defining its broad qualifications in the spirit of the open-minded LGBT community. The open call announcement gets appreciation, skepticism, and other responses. And at number 10, iconic U.S. singer Linda Ronstadt says, quote, she can't sing a note after Parkinson's disease stole her voice. The 67-year-old singer, known for the 1970s hit remakes of Blue Bayou and That'll Be the Day, was diagnosed just 8 months ago. In a recent interview, Ronstadt says the symptoms started appearing as far back as 8 years. The singer sometimes relies on a cane to walk and uses a wheelchair while traveling. Parkinson's is a degenerative nerve disease that causes tremors, stiffness, and slow movement. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. You click how you feel, and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page that crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers emotionally the most. If you take a look at these 10 stories, all 10 stories today are about the hashtag million people march or about the incidents that led to it. Interesting. You see a lot of green today, but this one is interesting. Corona leaves Luneta after getting booed. You see a large 43% annoyed, 19% happy, 13% angry. You also see the core of it. Napoles, Revilla's sons are business partners, 89% angry. Fake NGOs misuse social welfare funds, 87% angry. And of course, the story that's gotten the most number of votes, this in the middle, as well as the live blog of today's Million People March, the ground rules, and on this side, a question of are you joining? Story that's gotten the most number of votes on the mood meter, the live video stream as it happens, hashtag Million People March. You see 80% inspired. That is the mood of the day. An interesting day for the Philippines. 3 firsts actually in that one. The first to move beyond personality, to move towards issues, and the last one triggered by social media. Today, most people are inspired. That is Rappler's Newscast for today, Monday, August 26, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today. We leave you with images from the hashtag Million People March by Patricia Evangelista.
Viva Sura! Viva Sura! Pork Barrel! Ayaw nating magpatuloy itong kabaliwan na
ordinaryong mga tao lang po kami. Wala kaming political affiliation. Lahat po kami pumunta rito. Lahat po tayo magkakasama dahil iisa po ang nag-aalab sa ating damdamin. Ito ang pagmamahal sa ating republika. Tayo ang mga bagong bayani. Tanggalin ang pork! Makibaka! What magbaboy! Makibaka! What